crew in here for you today. And I will begin with just a couple of announcements before we actually begin the service. So a few weeks ago, I posed the question, what can I do? And it was around, what is happening in the world today, around freedom and rights for everyone. And so the invitation in this moment is to join Centers for Spiritual Living as they create the opportunity to dive deeply into the heart of unconscious bias and racism and to learn how we can make a difference at this pivotal time in history. So what they have done is they have selected a book for a book study. And the book is called Me and White Supremacy, Combat Racism, Change the World, and Become a Good Ancestor by Layla Saad. The book is a reflective 28-day inward journey that will be supported by a 5-session book study experience. So the invitation is to accept this invitation to do the personal work toward greater inclusion, allyship, and healing in a supportive group environment. Registration is now open, and there is absolutely no fee to attend. You were sent through Constant Contact, our Wednesday newsletter, a link in which you could go to sign up. If you need that link again, please reach out to me, and I will be sure to send it to you because I would love everyone to participate in this. The practitioner book study, if you're a practitioner, will be held on 5 consecutive Monday evenings beginning August 3rd at 8 p.m., and the congregational book study will be held on 5 consecutive Tuesday evenings beginning August 4th at 8 p.m. Both of these will be on Zoom, and once you register, you will get a link in order to be able to participate in this. So once again, if you did not get the Constant Contact newsletter regarding this book study, please reach out to me and I will be sure to get the information to you. The second announcement is that the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is pleased to announce a live streaming concert by the Offbeats to benefit a place at the table. This is one of our outreach ministries' outreach projects. And the place at the table, you may remember, we did a couple of different things for them last year. It is a local pay-what-you-can cafe that provides community and healthy food regardless of means. And during this time of COVID-19, more people than ever are showing up at their doors in need of meals. Unfortunately, while in these times patrons can volunteer, while in normal times patrons can volunteer in exchange for their food, that is not all right for them to do at this point in time due to social distancing and other health standards. So they're not able to do that. So what we are going to do is to have this concert in order to raise some funds to be able to assist them to have their meals. The place at the table also recently expanded their space and their menus, which is now, according to necessity, only takeout, to provide even more meals. So let's support them in their quest to ensure that meals are available to everyone during these difficult times. The band is playing on a love offering basis. A $10 donation covers the cost of an entire meal. So how many meals are you willing and how many meals are we able as a community to provide through contributions during this live concert? Even if you can't tune in on July 29th, please consider making a donation by mail or online. Donations by mail can be made through checks payable to TCSL. The mailing address is TCSL 4000 Bearcat Way, Suite 104, Morrisville, North Carolina, 27560. And again, as always, we thank you ahead of time for your generosity. And the last announcement today is our financial update for mid-month. The budgeted collections for the month is $15,113, and our collections to date are $5,279. So the budget is $15,113, and our collections to date are $5,279. So we just invite you to remember that even though we aren't meeting here at the center during this time, we still have bills to pay and obligations to meet of our own, and we are still showing up and providing you what we are able to do in the best way that we absolutely possibly can. And so we just invite you to continue to support and be great stewards of our community, the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. That's all that I have this morning. So I just invite up licensed spiritual practitioner Heather Abbott.
Thank you. Good morning. Our theme for 2020 is 2020 Spiritual Vision. Our July theme is Untethered Spirituality. Ruth's talk title today is The Truth Will Set You Free. I'm now going to read this community's purpose statement, which is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. Now I would like to invite you to close your outer eyes and to turn within and allow these healing sounds to wash over you.
I invite you to begin to bring your attention back into your bodies and into your rooms and stay turned within as I speak a word of invocation upon our service this morning. Recognizing the one Spirit, the one life, the one love, the one creative energy back of everything that there is. I call this power and presence God, but I know that it goes by many different names. But I also know that by whatever name it goes by, it is the very essence of unconditional love, of peace, of joy, of creativity, of wisdom, of abundance, of grace. I know that I am one with it, created by it, out of itself in a moment of unconditional love. I am all that it is, a hologram of its presence on the planet. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is the truth of each and every person here in the sanctuary this morning, each and every person on Facebook, each and every person on Zoom, each and every person on the planet. And it is from that place of unity that I bless our time together. calling it good and very, very good, even as it is just beginning. I know that it is a divine appointment that God is having through and as each of us individually and collectively as the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. I bless all of the people here in the sanctuary today, Heather and Mark in the AV booth, Lola and Dave Youngman as our musical inspiration, Heather and Barbara Kane as they come forward as practitioners to anchor our service, and Ruth Pulley as she allows Spirit to move through and as her as she gives the message today. I know that this day flows with grace and with ease, and that there is something within it all for each of us, something we will hear, something we experience, something that we all of a sudden know in a way that we didn't know it before. And so I am grateful for the opportunity to come together through this magnificent technology, grateful for this community, grateful for this service, and grateful for this day. And we just allow it to unfold in all of its divinity simply by saying, and so it is, and so it is. Amen. Please welcome to the podium licensed spiritual practitioner Barbara Kane.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I invite Heather to come up here to help me with the blessings of all faiths. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths as represented by this ceremony. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love, that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Thanks, Heather. The reading from today is from Ram Dass. The truth is everywhere. Wherever you are, it's right where you are when you can see it. And you can see it through whatever vehicle you're working with. You can free yourself from certain attachments that keep you from seeing it. The scientist doesn't stop being a scientist, nor anybody stops being anything. You find how to do things to yourself which allow you to find truth where you are at the moment. I'd say we never find out anything new. We just remember it. And so it is. And now I invite you to close your eyes one more time as I speak a blessing on Ruth Pulley and Lola and Dave Youngman. So I recognize in this moment that there is one infinite spirit, one infinite light and life and love, the spirit of peace and joy. And I know that that Spirit is in, as, and through me, and that I embody every quality of that Spirit. And I know that as that is true for me, that it is also true of Ruth and Lola and Dave. And I know that Ruth allows herself to be the vehicle of that Spirit this morning. And I know that she is truly blessed and a blessing to us all today as she speaks her word, that she comes forward knowing that peace, that freedom, and that creativity that she is, and that it is hers to share with us. And I speak a blessing on Lola and Dave as they share their magical, wonderful gift of song and creativity, blessing us all with that beauty and love. And so it is. And now I'd like to introduce Lola and Dave Youngman.
My soul is weary, my soul is weary, my soul is weary. I said my soul is weary. My soul is weary and beaten down from all of my misery. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? My soul is weary and beaten down from all of my misery. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? Ba-da-da-da, 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 ba-da-da-da. Got a hold on my heart that keeps me bound when the whole wide world is free. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? Got a hold on my heart that keeps me bound when the whole wide world is free. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? Ba-da-da-da, 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 ba-da-da-da. My home is a wreckage, family drowned in flight and poverty. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? My home is a wreckage, family drowned in flight and poverty. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? Ba-da-da-da, 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 ba-da-da-da. My home is a wreckage, family drowned in flight and poverty. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? My home is a wreckage, family drowned in flight and poverty. Oh Lord, who will comfort me? Ba-da-da-da, 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 ba-da-da-da.
Amazing. That was amazing. I hope everyone is staying cool. It is hot outside. Man. So, good morning. Hope everyone is doing okay. We're going to take a little deep dive in this idea of truth. And like Dusty said, the talk title is The Truth Will Set You Free. Now, when I was kind of meditating on the topic for this week, things began to kind of come into my awareness, and I was like, man, these are such simple ideas. And I think sometimes we try to make spirituality this kind of complicated process, but it really is about these simple ideas, these simple truths, these simple ways of being. So today is going to be probably not any information that's new to you, but I think it's a reminder of the truth of who we are, and a reminder of the things that sometimes get in the way of that. So if everyone's ready, let's get going. All right, so the truth will set you free. Now this sounds like a totally wonderful thing. So in our exploration of this topic today, we're going to explore 3 key questions. What truth are we actually talking about? From what are we being set free? And how can that knowledge actually free us? So everybody ready for those questions? We're going to hopefully get some answers today, okay? So what is truth? Now, the answer to this question is as diverse as the people asking it, as diverse as the people that seek it every day. So truth is often defined as something that is in congruence to fact, or something that is in fidelity to an original or to a standard. So for our purpose today, we're going to talk about truth in the way that we mean the truth of who we are, our essence, our true self, living from a space of authenticity. So that's kind of our idea of truth, which is still under that basic definition, but this is kind of the field we're going to go for today. So from this framework, and supported by the principles of science of mind, since that's what we are, we're religious scientists, truth can be understood as the unstoried self. Now, I heard in a meditation that I was doing throughout the week this term, the unstoried self. And I never really actually thought about it this way before, but let me tell you, this idea of that space within us that is unstoried completely blew my mind. So what does that mean? What does it mean, this unstoried self? Well, exactly what it means. This is understood as our essence, that space that's deep within us that is not defined by anything external. It's not defined by any story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. It's not defined by any story that others may put on us. It is that divine spark, that oneness, that wholeness, that universal blueprint. That is what the unstoried self is. It's what is meant when Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of Science of Mind, said that we are unique and individualized expressions of this one. It's that imprint of that unstoried self. That is how we arrived. And if you were here for our meditation, Dusty talked about that. It's not based on our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our successes, our failures, anything that we make up, or anything that we experience on the external. It is that place of perfect peace and love and wholeness and joy and everything within us. You get the picture. It's that true self. And so this is the truth of each and every one of us, each and every person, each and every being on the planet. This is what we mean by the unstoried self, and this is what we mean by the truth of who we are. So the second question, so if we understand the truth that we're talking about today. So the second question is, so what is it we're trying to be set free from? And understanding this idea of living this untethered spirituality. So I don't know about you, but I often find myself living in the space between. That space between that essence, because we can catch glimpses of that essence. And like this self that I create based on all these external things. So it's kind of this space in between. And sometimes that is not a very comfortable space to be. This space between is a self that's formulated based on our circumstances, our beliefs, our thought patterns, anything that's going on external. And Sometimes when we live from this space between, we have feelings of doubt and fear and limitations and worthlessness, and all these things are based on the information that we're receiving from the external. And so we receive it so much that we begin to assume that's who we are. It begins to kind of stick with us, and we just kind of adopt it as, oh, well, this is who I am. And this is not necessarily positive or negative. I mean, sometimes we may think we're what we do, or who we're with, or how much money we make, or how much we have in a retirement account, or anything that we can accumulate, our successes, or even our failures, or even those things that happen in our life that are challenging. Things that make up this earthly existence. This is not to say, like I said, that they're good or bad, but these don't even scratch the surface of the truth of who we are. These things, these stories, these patterns we make up about ourselves or we create for ourselves in order to operate in this world in a way that we think that we should, don't even scratch the surface of that, defining that true essence of who we are. And so for some of us, myself included, we spend a lot of time in this space in between. Living from this space is absolutely exhausting. I'm exhausted. We're constantly trying to live up to a standard, or live up to who we think we should be, or who we think others think we should be, and it's just this cycle of creating this self that we can show the world. But I believe there's a way to break free, and of course there's a way. That's why we're here. There's a way to break free from this cycle and to learn to live from this space of this unstoried self. Now, how can we do this? You may be asking. Because it sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? To actually live from our essence and not live from this kind of space in between things. How can we uncover our unstoried self? How can we start living from that self instead of living from the self that we have to create all the time? So this leads us to the third question. And so how does this knowledge, if we know who we are, we know the truth and the essence of who we are, and so we know the things that we need to break free from. So how does this knowledge actually set us free? So I believe that ultimately this freedom comes through awareness. A true, deep, abiding awareness of who we are. So who am I? You may be asking. Who's having all these thoughts, these physical experiences, these emotional experiences, these mental experiences? So when you pause for a moment and ask the question, what are the first thoughts to arise? Who am I? You know, when I do that to myself, I may think, well, I'm a daughter, and I'm a sister, and I'm a social worker, and I'm a ministerial student. All these things come up, because that's what comes up in our brains when we think about who are we. All these things. These labels that are attributed to us, sometimes that's our first thought. So to contemplate this question really deep of who are we and what our truth is, we have to let go of those experiences, try to let go of those labels. And I invite you to do that as we go throughout the morning, to let go of those experiences, let go of those labels, and notice what is left. So it's when we begin to notice who and what is actually having the experience, this leads us to this awareness of this kind of what they would call the silent observer, where we're able to kind of see our thoughts and see our experiences. And it kind of takes on this quality of awareness and takes on this quality of consciousness and this intuitive state of knowing and of being. And we're able to separate ourselves from our thoughts and our fears and those labels and just be. So if you take a moment to relax your mind, notice that thoughts come and go within our awareness, within our minds. We can't stop it. It's who we are. But it's that space between the thoughts that we can actually tap into our essence, our unstoried self. That space that's not clothed or covered in anything. It just simply is. It is the essence of truth. It is the essence of our true selves. That state of being, that state of awareness, that state of knowing. We don't have to think about it, we just know. When we can let go of those labels, let go of those things, and just know that we become the one who sees. can look into the events of our lives and not attach them to our true self, but just understand that there's a truth within us, and that the events and thoughts and emotions and those things that swirl around in our daily experiences are able just to pass freely in front of us without judgment or attachment. And it is in this realization that our essence is not that we are free. So how do we do this? How do we live from this space? And some of us can catch glimpses of it, and I do. This is not to say that I don't catch glimpses of that essence. But how do we learn to consistently slip into that space? And we're going to talk in a moment about some practical things to do that. But I have to tell you, the key ingredient to this, and this is not going to be good news for some, and it's going to be really great news for others, depending on your outlook, is practice. Now, through the conditioning of our thoughts, through the conditioning of our intentions, we build this, for lack of better metaphor that it's been used a lot, we build these spiritual muscles the more that we sink into this, the more we practice this awareness and the truth of who we are. So I can remember, and there's some days I've tried to block it out. I used to play college basketball, and I know this is super shocking for some folks, but I will challenge anybody to a pickup game, including you, Joe. So before the season, and we always dreaded this, before the season, because there were certain NCAA rules, you can't practice before a certain time, but you could condition and kind of get ready for the season. We did this kind of months of physical conditioning, or torture, whatever you want to call it. Now, these sessions always took place at 5 a.m. I'm not sure why. That must have been like the magic hour. And always involved some sort of craziness, like running in a pool, which is well and good if you're 6 feet tall, but if you're 5 foot nothing, it's a wonder that I didn't drown on some of those mornings, because literally I was up to here with water. A lot of my teammates were very tall, obviously, but I needed water wings to survive some of these sessions. So it was either running in a pool or, I went to Greensboro College, so it was like running around Greensboro at all hours of the morning, where I thought I was going to have to carry someone or be carried, or we were lifting weights until I thought we were going to just pass out. So the idea was, the purpose of this, I think, can be equated to this kind of spiritual idea, or the spiritual muscle building, although not torturous, is to build our endurance. The purpose of this, when I was playing basketball, was to build my physical endurance, because I knew that there were going to be months and months that we were going to have to perform at a very high level. So you built your muscle, you built your endurance physically and mentally and emotionally. That way, when you were in those situations where you had to perform or had to be at a certain level, your body and mind were able to easily slip into it because you've already been there. So that is the same, I think, with spirituality and our spiritual practices. We condition our mind, we condition our bodies, we condition our souls to operate in this realm, this earthly realm that we find ourselves. And it can be challenging. And it can take a lot of muscle, a lot of physical muscle, a lot of mental and spiritual muscle. But that's the purpose of spiritual practice, is to engage ourselves in these things that peel away the layers and reveal the truth in our essence of who we are, so that we can more easily sink into that space. And then before long, we find that we're actually living from that space really consistently. And then we begin moving and breathing and just operating in this way, because we've constantly taken our mind and our body and our spirit into that space. And so then we realize, with this newfound awareness of who we are, that's brought kind of freedom, since we're living from this space, that in essence, it's freedom that we had all along. And this truth is evident in the words of Ram Dass, and I believe it is these words that really find our call to action, our next right step along the path to experiencing ultimate freedom and the awareness of our truth. And he says, the truth is everywhere. Wherever you are, it is right where you are, when you can see it. And you can see it through whatever vehicle you are working with. You can free yourself from certain attachments that keep you from seeing it. The scientist has not stopped being a scientist, nor anyone stopped being anything. You find how to do the things to yourself, within yourself, which allow you to find the truth where you are at that moment. I'd say we never find out anything new, we just remember it. And that last line, isn't that true? These principles that we talk about, these things that we talk about here, it's nothing new. We already have all of these things within us. But the purpose of us gathering, the purpose of spiritual practice, the purpose of us engaging in community is to remember those things. So to achieve the ability to be aware of and live from that space of truth, we need to do more, do nothing more than remember. We don't have to learn anything new. We don't have to crack some sort of spiritual code or some sort of deep and complex cosmic understanding. We just have to simply find ways to bring ourselves into this state of remembrance over and over again. From the moment we arrived on the planet to the moment we transition to our next plane, we are constantly bombarded with daily messages about what is real and who we are or who we should be. And oftentimes these messages make us believe that they are the truth of this life. And along with these messages come attachments that bring fear or anger or resentment, powerlessness. But it's through spiritual practice, spiritual awareness, that we're able to connect to the truth, connect to our source, this ever-present universal power that is present within us. So there are some practical things that we can do to really consistently step into this. And like I said, these are not complicated things. And I tried to come up with some really complicated things, kind of test your spiritual strength. But I'm like, it's not about that, is it? Because these are easy things. Now, they're easy to say and they're easy to kind of contemplate. The challenge we find is when we try to actually practically apply them sometimes in our lives. But I think if we're committed to practice, we're committed to constantly redirecting our minds and our thoughts and our intentions to that center, to that place, to that essence of who we are, then we'll find it easier and easier. And before long, we will be experiencing this freedom that we never could have imagined otherwise. But it's the freedom that's always been there. So a couple of things that we can do, some call to actions, if you will, are drop the things that tether us to this idea of the small self. Drop the things that keep us in that space in between. Let go of the things that do not work, that do not point us in the direction of our essence. And don't fight or argue for your limitations. How many of you do that? And I do it every day, and it's so amazing that sometimes I get in these situations where I'm like, why am I so unhappy? But I've been arguing for my limitations, arguing for those things, trying to hold on tightly to those things that no longer serve me. And they're different for everyone. You know those things. You know those things in your life that knock you off your center. You know those situations, those relationships, those scenarios, those thought patterns, those things that knock you off your center and don't point to the truth of who you are. So the encouragement is to kind of make a list, make a mental or spiritual inventory, whatever you want to call it, of those things that, I've done that for a while and it really isn't serving me. It really isn't pointing me to the essence of who I am. And just make a list and just kind of keep that in your awareness, keep that in your consciousness, in your meditations. And this is not a judgment on anything. It's just bringing those things to the surface of our awareness. Because when they're brought into the light, that's when we can address them and see the things that really serve us or things that don't serve us. Be courageous. It's challenging to step out of this small self. We get lulled into complacency in this space in between. But be courageous. Step out into some of this uncharted waters and just see where it lands you, see where it finds you. Another key thing is find a community of health. And this is key. A group of people, a group of individuals, a community like this, or friends or people in your sphere of influence, a community of health that are able to hold the truth of who you are. They're able to see who you are, see you at your essence, and remind you and hold it for you when you forget. I think that's kind of the purpose, one of the main purposes that we're here, is to see the truth in each and every person and be able to hold it in times where we can't hold it for ourselves. And lastly is to find those spiritual practices that work for you. Those things that return you, your ideas, your intentions, your thoughts, that turn you back to your source. And that's different for everyone. And for me, I go through patterns where it's different for me. But to really think about those things in your life, and they don't have to be what someone would deem spiritual, but those things in your life that really stir up that essence, stir up that feeling of connection, stir up that passion within you. I think when we engage in things that stir up that joy, that create peace, that create the surfacing of all those God qualities, then we've hit the jackpot. That's the thing that we need to focus on. And so just think about those things in your life that stir that up for you, and make a commitment to practice those on a daily basis. So I'll leave you with this one quote, and this is by Ernest Holmes. And I think that this affirmation sums up the essence of who we are, sums up the awareness, sums up the freedom that can be experienced through living from this space, through remembering this space. And he says, I realize there is a divine presence at the center of my being. I let this recognition flow through my entire consciousness. I let it reach down into the very depths of my being. I rejoice in its realization. The perfect life of God is in and through me in every part of my being. As the sun dissolves the mist, so my acceptance of life dissolves all pain and discord. I am free because the spirit of life in me is perfect. And so it is. So in this absolute perfect moment, the invitation is to remember. Because there's so many things that we see in our external experience that encourage us to forget. But to remember that there is one power and one presence, and to remember that that is who we are. That there is nothing that can separate us from the truth of who we are. And so we know that through this awareness, through this practice, through this sometimes daily redirection of our minds and hearts, that we are free. That the freedom and the truth that we seek is already there. So we are grateful for this awareness. For it is sometimes gratitude is a thing that shifts our focus from the external to the internal. So with this shift, there is gratitude. And so in knowing that we have the power and presence of this universal spirit, we only have to speak our words, declare our intentions. And it is so. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Ruth. That was wonderful. It is now time for our conscious giving. And so I just invite everyone to just take a moment to just really reflect on how truly abundant we are. How truly filled our lives are. How many blessings we have in our everyday lives. And to know that as we are grateful for those blessings, that we draw more to be grateful about into our lives. And that as we are willing to share some of that abundance, that we powerfully step into the flow of life, that giving and receiving are one and the same. And so I'm grateful for these gifts, for the generosity of this community, for the way that we all steward our community through the tithing of our time and talent and treasure, knowing that we really couldn't continue to be who we are without everyone doing that, without everyone reaching into their own hearts and bringing forward the love that they have, bringing forward the gifts that they have, bringing forward the time that they have and the talent and the treasure. This is how we continue to do the work that we do in the world. This is how we continue to contribute to a world that works for everyone. And so I'm grateful for the gifts, however big or small. And I just invite everyone to say out loud in your own homes today, I'm grateful for all that I receive. And I am grateful for all that I may give. And so it is. The text to tithe number is up on your screens right now, and you can certainly use that method of tithing today. Or if you would prefer, you can always go to our website, and up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little button that says Give, and if you click on that, it will take you to another screen that will allow you to give to your community in that way. And once again, I'm very grateful for everyone, for everyone's presence, and for your love and for your generosity. It is now my pleasure to welcome back to the stage Lola and Dave Youngman.
First of all, I want to explain why I selected the two songs today that I did. Since the theme for this month is freedom, the first song was written by Melody Gardot, and that was about somebody who was not free and who was very much in pain and needed comfort. This song that I'm about to sing is about somebody who was in bondage but is now free, and she's so grateful. And this song is by Nina Simone, so I hope you enjoy it. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Freedom is mine, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Oh, 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 feeling good, yeah.
Man, that was so awesome. All right. If anyone would like prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org. On the home page, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all the ministers and the practitioners. And now, in the comfort of your home, please stand for our July affirmation. This is a call and response. I'll read a line. You repeat it back. And here we go. Today I choose to live a life of freedom.
Today I choose to live a life of freedom.
I choose to drop the shackles of what holds me back and ties me down.
I choose to drop the shackles of what holds me back and ties me down.
I acknowledge that there is one power and first cause to all things.
I acknowledge that there is one power and first cause to all things.
This power expresses itself in me, through me, and as me.
This power expresses itself in me, through me, and as me.
My freedom springs from the awareness that this is the truth about me.
My freedom springs from the awareness that this is the truth about me.
I know and live in this divine freedom in every arena of my life.
I know and live in this divine freedom in every arena of my life.
I make no secret of my connection with the divine.
I make no secret of my connection with the divine.
Every day I take action to share this freedom with the world.
Every day I take action to share this freedom with the world.
I give it freely from within for the liberation of the human family.
I give it freely from within for the liberation of the human family.
My freedom is the awareness that all things live together for the good of.
My freedom is the awareness that all things live together for the good of
all other things and for the greater good of life itself.
all other things and for the greater good of life itself.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And I'd invite you all to stay for the closing song. And now I'd like to do a benediction, and we'll have a final video. If everyone would just close their eyes for another moment. And I recognize in this moment that we have not only the connection of with the one spirit, the one life, the one love, but also a connection with each other. And we share this divine connection. And we have an even clearer path to our freedom of full, total, and exuberant expression of who and what we are. And we have this family of community to hold us in that way. And so I'm grateful for this new knowledge, this new freedom, and this new vehicle of expression. And In deep gratitude, I release this word into the law of love, and so it is.